Hello, everybody, and welcome to
In
the
here.
Georgia Chiropractic Association's webinar on the
Shoot.
Essential Chiropractor with Dr. Eric Plasker. I would like to introduce all of you, not that the man needs an introduction, but he deserves one. After a chiropractor helped him heal from a football injury when he was 15, Dr. Eric Plasker embarked upon a lifelong journey into human potential, the body's ability to heal itself, and perform at high levels for a lifetime. As a Life University graduate, Dr. Plasker began his own practice, performance-based practice on Atlanta's Peachtree Road in 1986, taking care of world-class athletes, weekend warriors, and their families. To date, Dr. Plasker has helped over 10,000 patients from around the world to create health and wellness in their lives. And through his company, The Family Practice, he has trained over 10,000 chiropractors how to be more effective communicators and educators for their community practice. All of his success is based on his understanding and experience with the innate abilities of the human body and its proactive mindset when it comes to health and longevity. While not many of us expect to live to be 100, the reality is that many of us today are living longer than we ever thought we would. So the 100-year lifestyle shows us that birthright time isn't borrowed time, and we are never too young or too old to thrive. Today, Dr. Eric Plasker is an in-demand speaker to companies and groups around the world and the author of the internationally best-selling series of books based on the 100-year lifestyle. Together, he and his wife of 32 years, Lisa, have raised a healthy family of 3 adult children, all are chiropractors. So please welcome our very own GCA member, Dr. Eric Plasker.
Wow. Well, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate that. We got to add a zero. It's actually 100,000 patients and 10,000 doctors. We got to add a zero to that intro. But really, this is not about me. This is about this very, very important message and the fact that GCA has been taking the lead and wanting to get this message and so many important messages out to our profession in the state of Georgia. And I'm hoping that so many people outside of Georgia watch this webinar because the message is truly important. And so kudos to the leadership at GCA, a lot of you, my friends that I've known for a long time, and the work that you're doing. And the title of this presentation is The Essential Chiropractor. And it's an important title. You're going to see why in just a minute. And really, let me just say, we all know that in 2020, when the pandemic hit, that we were named in 2020 essential healthcare providers. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of chiropractors don't know that. The public certainly doesn't know that. And everybody needs to know, because it came in very, very quietly, so quietly that nobody knows. And what's interesting is at GCA, you guys knew, because in Camden County, we found out before the rest of the country named us essential. We got shut down in Camden County. We couldn't practice, according to my leader friends at GCA. And it's one of our own, Karen Mathiak, who was very involved in politics, that she was able to, through the influence of her political career and GCA, to be able to get us back to work the next day. Is that right, Valerie? The next day back to work, and named us, the governor of Georgia named us essential in that moment, even before it was formally done by the Department of Homeland Security. And so this is a really important message. And the way that this came about, it's an interesting story. This is a magazine. It's a magazine to the public, Masters of Health. Let me just give you the full disclosure. I am not an advertiser in this magazine. I have not spent a single penny in this magazine to get any type of promotion, nothing, zero with them, although they have become very good friends, because they reached out to me because of the 100-year lifestyle. They've been following the 100-year lifestyle for a long time. I have written articles for them in the past that they have published, and they have never edited a word, not one word, of what I put out there that was at the core strong chiropractic messaging. And they called me up and they said, Dr. Plasker, and this was October of this year, and they said, Dr. Plasker, we want you to write a story on the history of chiropractic. And I said, you what? And she said, yes, you have 800 words to write about the history of chiropractic. And I said, I can't even write about 1895 in 800 words. You want me to do 800 words on the entire history of chiropractic? And she said, well, how many words do you need? And she said, I want you to cover things like straights and mixers and all that stuff. And I said, are you kidding me? I would never write that article in a million years. Why are we going to dig up all the scars of the past? Why don't we use this as an opportunity to really reframe our history? We've never had the opportunity to do it. She said to me, she says, but you guys, listen to this. This is very important what she said to me. She said, chiropractors really understand what's going on in the world right now. She said, chiropractors have been persecuted and prosecuted for over 100 years. And now you are named essential healthcare providers. And people need to know your story, because right now in the world, think about this, listen to what I'm going to say here. The top medical doctors in the world and the top scientists in the world, decorated scientists, decorated doctors, have been persecuted, and some of them being prosecuted, just like we were for over 100 years, for speaking the truth about the immune system, about health, in ways that we did for so long. So what a flip-flop, where in all of the news, they're getting persecuted and prosecuted, yet we were named essential, and nobody knows. And I did a podcast interview with Dr. LaMarche from Life University the other day. It's on their YouTube channel on a similar topic. And what was interesting about that, when we were talking about it, in his career, he was prosecuted. He was never prosecuted, but he was persecuted when he first went into practice. I've been in practice 36 years. I was on the Quack Watch list within just a couple of years of being in practice. They put me on the Quack Watch list. And so I tell the students today and the prospective students, I graduated as a quote unquote quack, and we're going to blow that to smithereens here within about 20 minutes of this story that I'm going to share with you today. But we people like myself graduated as a quote unquote quack, and now these students are graduating essential. And those of us that were named quacks or were attacked and persecuted all of those years, we are now essential healthcare providers. And we need to talk about why, and we need to get the message out there into the world, because I truly believe, my colleagues, I truly believe that in our generation, if we let this go, with all the billions and billions and billions of dollars of persecution and prosecution against our industry for a century or more, and we don't get it out there that we have overcome, that we have stood our ground, that we have not compromised, then it will be, in my opinion, it will be the greatest, not crime, but almost crime of our generation of chiropractors. As history, in the future, history will look back at us and say, you know what, you guys blew it. You guys were given the baton and you blew it. And we need to not blow it, especially because we are living in a time where people need what we have more than ever. So the link to this magazine, it's on the GCA website, on the outline for this webinar, so you can go to this magazine. So as a disclaimer, again, I did not want to be on the cover. I do not spend money in this magazine. They sought me out because of my work with the 100-Year Lifestyle and reaching the public and the work that we're doing. So here's the article. And I want to break it down for you, because I truly believe that this is one of those articles that every one of us need to read and understand and reframe our history. Those are really big words. Reframe our history and tell our story from an essential perspective, not the slanderous perspective that has been taught for 100 years, but to reframe our history in a way that people truly get it. And they understand what we went through, so that they could follow us and be confident with what we're doing because of everything that we've had to overcome to get to this point. So the title of the article, it was named The Chiropractic Journey from Persecuted to Essential. And I'm going to go way back to the beginning in 1895, and the history, all of the historic points that I'm going to cover are relevant. This is not your history class 101. This is going to be a very interesting, in-depth, important perspective on our history. So when you go back in 1895, at around that time, And if you look, they really did a great job in laying out this article. It's Masters of Health, Sabina, who I worked with there, Lady Carla, the owners of that magazine. We went back and we looked at the times and we said, okay, what was happening in 1895? And in 1895 and pre-1895, we had the development of the germ theory of disease. So we had Claude Bernard, we had or Louis Pasteur, Robert Koch. They were talking about the germ theory of disease. They were proving the germ theory of disease. That was their work. The Rockefellers were behind it. All kinds of other people and groups with a lot of money were behind the germ theory. And then we also had, on the other side, we had what we know to be the terrain theory or the host theory, where the germ theory was about germs cause disease. The terrain theory was about, no, it's about the body. It's about the terrain. That do the germs have an environment to grow and thrive in to create infection, or does the body's immune system take care of it? It's really about the terrain. And so there was a battle going on between the germ theory people and the terrain theory people. And they weren't just people, they were the top scientists in their field at the time. So what is interesting is D.D. Palmer, he was always talked about historically, especially by the other side, as a fishmongerer, as a magnetic healer, positioning him as a quote unquote crazy person, when the reality of it is D.D. Palmer was one of the original terrain theory pioneers. And when you look at today, the battle between the germ theory and the terrain theory 100+ years later is raging more than ever in the world of science. And it's a very exciting thing to know that our founding father, his original question was, I believe, one of the original terrain theory questions. I wanted to know why two people sitting at the same table, eating of the same food, breathing the same air, one would get sick and one wouldn't. That was the original question that D.D. Palmer asked as the foundational question of our industry. And so it wasn't, I wonder why Harvey Lillard had a backache or had a hearing problem. He wanted to know why one person or two people would be sitting and have the same external environment and one would get sick and one wouldn't get sick. So it is the original terrain theory question, which is very relevant today. Now I'm going to back up a little bit and move forward at the same time here, because in our office, we make copies of this article in color and we give them out to patients. And we are getting so many new patients from this article because people are giving it out to we had a patient, she would not support her family being under chiropractic care. The husband was coming in, getting adjusted on a regular basis, lifetime patient. She would not let the kids come in and get taken care of. We gave her a copy of this article. She brought it to her. She read it. She came in, said, you know what? I can't believe how naive I was. I can't believe how naive I was. And now the entire family is under chiropractic care. And so we are reframing the history for the consumer so they understand that our roots are not quackery or crazy people, but we are the original terrain theory questioners in science. And so, and I'm looking at my copy of the article right here because I really don't want to miss anything. And so what happened was, we started getting traction in the world. D.D. Palmer started getting traction in the world. He created Palmer College of Chiropractic in 1906. And then between 1906 to 1949, they published 46 books, the Green Books. And all during that time, we were being persecuted and prosecuted. And the numbers are staggering when you think about it. So, and even while we were being persecuted, we were a grassroots movement, and I don't know that we were ever talked about in this light, but chiropractic actually was, of course, a grassroots movement. We grew grassroots. We had no political support. We had no corporate support. We were just literally our patients telling the stories about the results they were getting, even after many of them were medical failures. And at the same time, around 1903, a quote was produced while D.D. Palmer was growing the profession. And while this battle was still going on between the germ theory and the terrain theory, Thomas Edison was quoted in a piece called The Edison Wizard, a publication called the Newark Advocate. A lot of people don't even know where this quote came from, but we all know this favorite Thomas Edison quote. He said the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. So he said this on January 2nd, 1903, in the heat of this germ theory, terrain theory debate, which gives a completely new perspective on this quote, doesn't it? And I see Dr. Noel shaking your head. It gives a completely new perspective on this quote, which is very, very exciting. And so we started to gain grassroots momentum, but we also became serious targets of prosecution and persecution. So I don't know if you know this statistic, but in the first 30 years of our professional existence, there were 15,000 prosecutions against chiropractors in our first 30 years. 15,000. This is right out of the article. All the quotes, there are links to all the sources for this information. 15,000 prosecutions, of which 20% resulted in incarceration. So we were persecuted and we were prosecuted and sent to jail. And we won our first case in 1907. And then our state board started to be formed. I'm not sure the date that GCA was founded, but our state association started to get organized. And we secured licensure in all 50 states between 1913 and 1974. We had licensure in all 50 states. And here's an interesting piece while all of this was going on. So we had the persecution, we had the prosecution, we had a grassroots movement that had us continuing to grow, and we fought politically. We never caved. Our forefathers, our founding father never caved. When they said to D.D. Palmer, or D.D. Palmer is quoted as saying, "I am not in jail for a lack of principle, P-A-L, or money, but I am in jail for an abundance of principle, P-L-E." So a lot of people wonder where all of that comes from, having the principle to take a stand against evil, against lies, against organized politics that had an agenda that was not a healthy agenda, not a truthful agenda, but an agenda that was protecting their own interests. And so all of this going on at the same time, and because of all these defending of lawsuits and the political things that we had to do, a lot of people target us for saying we never had research. Why didn't you guys do more research all along? You should have done more research. Well, it's very interesting. And this is what we talk about in this article. So if you notice here on the second page or third page of this article where it says technical masters and healers emerge, the research that we were doing was clinical research in our offices, not necessarily formal research sponsored by a university. But this was on the ground clinical research. And if you think back over those times, we had B.J. Palmer and his upper cervical technique, HIO technique. We had Gonstead and his full spine techniques. We had Thompson and his techniques. And we had Stillwagon and Pierce and all these technical masters that were growing in the profession in a way that, and it became a battle. It was like, hey, my technique is better than your technique. And this was the culture of our profession that is so at the root of why our results are so good with our patients, our practice members today, because literally that culture is all about results. I mean, I know in my practice, and I still practice. I've been in practice 36 years. I love it more than ever. I'm practicing with my youngest son, Dr. Corey Plasker. My two other kids are chiropractors. They practice in Oregon. We were just visiting them for about 3 weeks. It's exciting to know that we have these strong roots of getting results. And we as a profession, we'll take home with us. We could have 100 people in a day or 50 people in a day, and we can get 95% results. And we take home the 5% that don't respond, or the 7% that don't respond. And those are the ones that they carry around with us. Well, that's in our roots. This is a part of our DNA as an industry. And I think why that's so important is because now today, our universities like Life University, which I support their research department, I give them money every single month. They just charge my card every month supporting research there. We have vitalistic research that's happening in other places that we support. And why is that so important? It's important because now we have the foundation of the roots of our techniques, but we don't even understand why. And we're learning now today that chiropractic, and I'll go into this in a little bit further down the road in this presentation, that that chiropractic, 90% of the nutrition and function of the brain depends on the movement of the spine. And so we know that everything that is necessary for health and function in life depends on a healthy nervous system. And we have proved it over the years through our multiple techniques that we have, where everybody's getting great results for the most part. And I love being in front of an audience of chiropractors. And I'll say, all right, everybody close your eyes and do this at home, or if you're watching this on YouTube, close your eyes. Now, I want you to raise your hand if you have ever had a patient that came to you and got results after going to see another chiropractor where they didn't get results. And I'll say, raise your hand high. And what percentage of the room do you think raises their hand? It's 100% of the room. And then I say to everybody, you know what? And you thought you were the only one, didn't you? And the reality of it is, because what we do works, and we have to get to a state and a place as essential. See, the essential chiropractor knows, from my perspective, the essential chiropractor knows that it's not chiropractic first, drug second, surgery last, like we have said for so long. I completely disagree with that statement. It should be chiropractic first, chiropractic second, different technique if necessary, chiropractic third, different technique with nutrition and other modalities if need be, if necessary, chiropractic fourth with medication when if necessary, chiropractic fifth with surgery when necessary. Literally, we have patients that have come to us where they've had chronic conditions, severe conditions, diseases, all kinds of really serious things going on, and they've had them for decades. And you know what? They felt better after getting chiropractic care, but they needed a surgical procedure, or they needed a medication or something like that, which I wouldn't prescribe, and I would send them to another chiropractor for a different technique look. And maybe they got a little bit more result, but ultimately they needed a surgical procedure. And you know what? These people, they understand what we do, and they'll get adjusted the week before they come in or the day before their surgery, and they'll come back the week after their surgery to resume their care, because they understand that it is essential that a healthy spine and nervous system, it is essential for a healthy, long life. But the AMA and our technical masters and healers, they understood that in the early days of our profession. But then, very interesting, as we started to get more and more licensure, and the AMA and political medicine realized that they could not stop us, they created a slander campaign against our industry that led to our major chiropractic lawsuit victory, the Wilk case. We all know about that. What's interesting and important that gets left out of this discussion, very important and very interesting, and it's right here on this page that you're looking at. See, in the slander campaign started in 1963. So that's when they formally created a massive focus slander campaign. There's a link that describes it in this article. And their efforts in slander, which means telling lies in all kinds of ways, I'll share that with you in just a second. So all kinds of slander, focus campaign. And then in 1976, we went on and filed a lawsuit. So that was 14 years. Chester Wilk and 4 other chiropractors. So this is, for me, this was still going on in 1985 when I graduated. I remember as a student contributing $25 or $50 or whatever it was to this lawsuit, because I realized how important this was. But if you think about the numbers from 1963 to 1976, that's 13 years, 14 years of slander without any defense. And then the lawsuit went on from 1976 to 1987, another 11 years. So when you do the math, that's 24 to 25 years of relentless slander, which is why the prehistoric creatures in the world today still think that those things are true. And I'm talking about the earthlings, the grandmas and grandpas and great-grandmas and great-grandpas. They say, oh, chiropractors, oh, rah, 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 and they have all these misinformation because this slander campaign, and what the judge said about the different points of why the AMA was found guilty. They said they were found guilty for trying to undermine chiropractic educational institutions, hide evidence of the uses and benefits of chiropractic care, undercut insurance programs for the patients of chiropractors, subvert government inquiries into the efficacy of chiropractic care. And the last one, which is not bolded here, it was also found that they participated in a large-scale disinformation campaign to discredit the chiropractic profession. So we hear today, we hear on the news about all this disinformation, misinformation, medical disinformation, medical misinformation. So what's important for the public to understand, and it's what they understand when they read this article, is that this misinformation, disinformation, and slander is a playbook that has been going on since 1963, formally, and even way back, slandering chiropractors, trying to put them in jail. And all of this going on with billions of dollars spent to slander us. And we're seeing the same playbook happening today in the world through all of the allopathic medical organizations, the political medical groups that are trying to control the public perception of the narrative. And so it's important when patients see this, they put two and two together. They start to realize, and now here we are, we have our terrain theory roots. And it wasn't until 1978, it's very interesting because when we won that lawsuit, in 1978, the Journal of Manipulative and Physiological Therapeutics was launched. And in 1981, they were included in the National Library of Medicine Index Medicus. And the AMA boycotted this publication until we won that lawsuit. And so now we have not just this allopathic style of research being done, but now we have vitalistic research that's being done, which is so exciting. And the information that we're learning about the brain and the nervous system and the spine and the relationship is super exciting for all of us today. And there's another reason why we are essential. And why we have to get this message out that we are essential is because we are living in a time, and we talk about it in this article, we talk about, we revisit our terrain theory roots. And we talk about the importance of D.D. Palmer's question and why that question is vital for every person to ask themselves, where they realize that they are sitting at the same table, eating of the same food with the same genetic makeup, breathing the same air, and somebody in their family gets sick and somebody doesn't. It's not the germ, it's the host, it's the terrain. And we wrote an ebook when this pandemic started in February of 2020, literally within 30 days. We're giving it away, by the way. You can go to 100yearlifestyle.com and put in least vulnerable person, and there's an ebook there, or it's under articles, and you could download it and start distributing it electronically to your practice members. And so you can get the word out there, but it talks about all the things that make you a less vulnerable person and a least vulnerable person, and how to take care of the host, which is you. And so we put this message out there and it went viral. We gave it away. People loved it. Now, a lot of chiropractors that we work with directly and a lot of chiropractors that we have never even met, they download this article and distribute it because it's important information for people to know that you can be less vulnerable and keep yourself healthy, and you don't have to live in fear. And so now here we are, we're growing like crazy, and we're still growing like crazy. And we have been labeled essential by the same organizations and people, many of them, that called us quacks for years. And it took us over 100 years to get that label, which we do not need. We have never needed that label. We are not the label profession. We don't work for labels. We work because we love what we do. And we believe in what we do, and we believe in the principles that we stand for, the body's ability to heal itself, our innate intelligence, our innate potential, helping the body heal itself. And when you understand this journey and you realize that this same group, that their doctors that they have been celebrating as essential for 100 years are now the quacks and are now being vilified, my goodness gracious, we cannot let this go unnoticed, that chiropractors are essential healthcare providers based on the according to the Department of Homeland Security, which, by the way, we do not need that label. If they took it away, we would still be strong. In fact, my goal is to have all of you and all of your friends, and you circulate this message everywhere in the chiropractic world, and let all the chiropractors tell all their patients about this article and this story, so it get out there, so that if they tried to take away the essential nature of who we are and what we do, the rebellion that would happen, that they would have caused with their label, would be literally unstoppable. The force would be unstoppable. Because, I remember one of my mentors, Joe Felicia, amazing man, taught me so much. They threatened him. They said, I'm going to take away your license, Joe, for the 5th time. We're sick of you because you're saying things, because he practiced in the time of not licensure. And he was a quote unquote, he was one of those chiropractors that was persecuted and prosecuted. And finally, he said to the board, he said, listen, if you think I'm a pain in the ass with a license, wait till you see me without a license. And he took a stand. And so we get to a point where we're not in a position to have our licenses taken away. We are in a position to let the public know that we are essential and why we are essential. And if we do that, our practices will thrive more than ever. We don't have to put down the other side. We don't have to curse the darkness, but we need to live in the light of the essential nature of what we do, because it is indisputable. It is indisputable that a healthy spine and nervous system is essential for a healthy, long life. Everyone needs chiropractic care. So read this article, go through it. It talks about it and it leads up to today. And there's a couple of other pieces of this. And then I'm going to get into some other ways that we are essential and some tools that if you want to, you can use. And Noelle, you're the only face I can see. Deborah, I can see you there. How are we doing so far? We doing good? Yeah? Cool. Very good. Ben, I don't see your smiling face, but I know you're there. I see your name. So I hope we're doing good for you and GCA. You guys are doing a great job for us. So we have an aligned athletes, Paul Weeks, one of our 100-year lifestyle practices, Dothan Spine and Specialty in Dothan, Alabama. We got him published in this article about aligned athletes. So it's a great place to go get that magazine. And then I have another giveaway for you if you're interested, because I do believe that a big part of being essential is becoming the lifetime chiropractor, the lifetime care doctor for our patients in our community. We have a practice filled with lifetime patients. Too many of our chiropractors out in the world, we have practices filled with inactive files. And we wonder where all these people went. They love us and leave us. Are you out of your mind? Why would you want to even repeat that for another day? To become essential, you have got to become a lifetime care practitioner, in my opinion. This is an ebook that we're giving away. If you go to 100yearchiropractors.com, different website than 100yearlifestyle.com, but on 100yearchiropractors.com, it's a great little ebook on the power of lifetime care. It is important to do that to become essential. So there's another giveaway for you. So to be essential, it's literally looking at human potential from a 100% for 100 years perspective. We know that life expectancy today has dropped for the first time. The last couple of years, life expectancy has dropped for the first time since World War II, actually. And so when you look, you say, okay, well, why did it drop? Is it because the older people are dying? No, the older people, that is the unvaccinated generation. The 100-year-old people, that is the unvaccinated generation. These are the people that they grew up with natural immunity. They're not living on borrowed time. It's birthright time. And so they have this innate potential. They're teaching us about our innate life expectancy. They are outliving their parents' and grandparents' generation, some of them by 10, 15, 20, 25 years, some 30 years. And so when is it important to make the spine and nervous system, the health of the spine and nervous system, a priority? I know at GCA, we have pediatric chiropractors, we have generational chiropractors, we have injury-based chiropractors, we have sports injury chiropractors, we have sports performance chiropractors at GCA. In every association, we have chiropractors that are in all types of camps. We have pregnancy-oriented chiropractors. So we have adopted, for example, in the 100-Year Lifestyle, as we teach this to the world, which, by the way, 100yearlifestyle.com is a free online website. We're giving content away that helps people understand. It's like a giant funnel to help people understand why they need chiropractic care as a part of a lifestyle, a healthy spine and nervous system as a part of a lifestyle. And it's 100% for 100 years. So the first decade of life, the second decade of life, the third decade of life. Every single one of you that are practitioners, you have people of it, all these age groups probably, and they all respond. My question to you is it just for crisis care, or are you transitioning to them to what we call lifestyle care? Are you helping them make that transition? Are you giving them a very big why? I promise you, the chiropractors, there are so many chiropractors. I see your ads. They're all over social media. You're spending a fortune on getting people to come in for a cheapy first visit, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But then they come in and they stay for 2, 5, 7, 10, 15 visits, and you're spending a fortune trying to get people in the door, and they love you and they leave you. Well, that's not essential. They should love you and stay. And the reality of it is, for almost every chiropractor that's going to watch this, I'll ask you this question. Raise your hand if you get chiropractic care yourself at least once a month, or once every couple of weeks, or once every couple of months, or once a week, or something like that. How often do you get checked? And I will say that if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for them, at least as an option. And I promise you, if you at least give it to people as an option and educate them on the importance of a healthy spine and nervous system, regardless of how you feel over the course of your lifetime, then you will function better and have a much better opportunity to live healthier longer instead of rotting away. 100% for 100 years, it sure beats 57% for 83 years, which we see like in my area of East Cobb and Marietta. I believe it's like 7 assisted living centers within a couple of miles of my office. And people will ask me, because it relates to the 100-Year Lifestyle, why are these assisted living centers popping up all over the place? Because they're everywhere in Georgia. And the answer is people are living longer, but they're not living better. This is a generation, they're suffering from polypharmacy. They're on all kinds of medications. If you read that book, the Becoming a Least Vulnerable Person, there's a section on polypharmacy in there. So they're on multiple medications, some people on 7, 10, 15, 20 different medications. You all know people like that. And they're not living healthier longer. They're living longer and they're rotting away. And so they're doing that. They're living in these facilities because their children are having to carry the burden of their care and the expenses of their care, because this generation didn't know they were going to live this long. So they didn't know how to take care of themselves to ensure quality of life as they age. And so people need to understand that you cannot afford to let this happen in this current generation. People need to understand, we call it 100% for 100 years. And these are some x-rays that I wanted to share with you, that a lot of you have x-rays like this in your practice if you take x-rays. And if you look at it, these are two 70-year-old people. These are two people in their early 70s. The person on the left has not had chiropractic care. The person on the right has had chiropractic care for over 40 years. Can you see the difference? The person on the left, listen to this. This is very interesting. And I say this in the article. The person on the left is a multi-millionaire. She gets massages every week. She does a personal yoga class and Pilates class like 2 to 3 times a week. She meditates. She's got a hyperbaric chamber that she goes to on a regular basis. She uses sauna. She's all organic food. She's lean, she's fit, and the limiting factor in her quality of life in her 70s is her spine and nervous system is rotting away. And she's mad. She's been to chiropractors actually, but she's not been adjusted. Nobody ever told her this. So she's gone maybe 4 or 5 times to a chiropractor over the years, hasn't been adjusted, hasn't been given the option of the care, and she is rotting away, and she's mad because she's spending a fortune doing everything that she thinks is the right thing, except having her spine and nervous system checked for subluxations. The person on the right has been getting adjusted for 40 years. Here's 3 people in their mid-50s. The person on the right has had chiropractic care for 45 years. So 50-year-old man, pretty decent cervical curve, no decay, history of concussions, car accidents, all kinds of stuff. The difference is this person has been getting chiropractic care as a priority, no allopathic care. And I'm not saying you never need it, just hasn't had it in his history. He's just always chose utilizing chiropractic care and the vitalistic consciousness of chiropractic. The person in the middle has had crisis care only. And when you think about this, you look at it and you say, okay, so you have degeneration around C5, C6, but C2, C3, C4, those look like a 25, 30-year-old bones and discs. And watch, all of these people and all of these bones are exactly the same age. So it's not age. That's not the problem here. You look at the person on the left in their mid-50s, never had chiropractic care, just drugs, cover up the symptom, drugs. And you see the degeneration. They're all the same age. The people are the same age. The bones are the same age. Everybody's the same age. So why are we not speaking this story? Why are we not teaching people? Why are we not showing people that we're doing it? The people that we work with are doing it. We all need to do it. It is essential that these people, if you don't think that this person on the left in her 70s, if you don't think that she thinks today that chiropractic is essential, she comes from North Carolina to get checked on a regular basis because she's mad at all the chiropractors that she went to in North Carolina. And we have no great people in North Carolina. She just chose people that didn't adjust her. And here she drives to Atlanta for consistent care. This person now, these people that are now under care, you don't think they think it's essential today? When they see the difference, they know it's essential. What about 40-year-olds? These are 2 people in their early 40s. 2 people in their early 40s. You can see one under chiropractic care for an extended period of time, the one on the right, the one on the left, just never taking care of her spine and nervous system, not making it a priority, getting a pop or a crack or something when they had a pain, they feel better, and then they go back out into their life and they deteriorate more comfortably. That makes my hair fall out. We have got to become essential and have an essential message and get to the people. How about this? This is a 61-year-old active female and a 68-year-old active female. They've been under chiropractic care for decades, these 2 people. And you know what? They had degeneration years ago. Years ago. They're more functional in their 60s than they were way back when. They've had degeneration in their spine since they were 40 and 30 and 20. And now their curve is better. They're under care. But we won't see these results, my colleagues, unless we give people the option to get these results, to stay with it. And some of you say, well, I don't see these results, Dr. Plasker. Well, that's because for most of you, you're not keeping people around long enough to see the changes. And we didn't treat even their curve necessarily, or we didn't treat their symptoms. We just work with them to make sure that their spine and nervous system was functioning properly. And look at this one. This is a 73-year-old guy, never had chiropractic care, and a 97-year-old woman who's never had chiropractic care. And you could see how the 73-year-old guy, I showed him this 97-year-old, actually, he says, is that going to be me? And I said, you were headed that way. And now this guy's been under chiropractic care for 2 years. He's back into his life 100%. He's 73 years old, functioning at much higher levels, standing up straight. And you know why? He's been under chiropractic care for just about 2 years now. He never misses. It's a priority. He pays out of pocket. He's not looking for third-party endorsements or support. He doesn't care who pays for it. He's going to pay for it himself. Why? Because he values it. And then this is a 17-year-old kid and her 50-year-old father. And the father says, wow, is this genetic? No, this is not genetic. This is acquired. And guess who's under chiropractic care, making it a priority today? We have to be able to tell this story. It's very important that we tell this story. So I'm running out of time. I'm going to take a few more minutes to just talk about this longevity economy that is out there in the world. The Lancet just published a report about the longevity economy, about healthy longevity, talking about educating kids and families about the reality of their extended life. This is post-COVID. This is 2021, December 2021. We have AARP along with National Geographic just came out with a report on the second half of life. This came out just a couple of months ago, talking about this longevity economy. And now we have to get the younger generation understanding how to stay healthy and keep themselves healthy over the course of an entire lifetime. This Edward Jones report done with the Harris poll and Age Wave. This is another, the new journey of retirement, talking about longevity, reframing longevity and human potential. Stanford University just came out with this new map of life, talking about this extended lifespan report. This is all 2022. I call this the longevity industrial complex. These are top companies putting billions and billions of dollars into reframing the idea of longevity and how to be healthier longer, and none of them include essential chiropractic care. We have to tell this story, my colleagues. We have to tell this story. And here's what they say in some of these reports. They may as well be paraphrasing, and I believe that they are, copying the 100-year lifestyle almost verbatim, but not verbatim enough to be sued. Over half of the Americans born today may live to be 100. Do you want to live to be 100? This is their reports. These are my reports that we put out for years. We've been talking about it. We were the first people on the planet to talk about human potential from a longevity perspective and how important it was for kids and families to be under care. And none of that matters to me at this point. What matters to me is that every single one of us needs to, I believe, get on board with this type of a story, because they're going after it, the other side, because they understand the impact and the influence they're going to have on individuals and families. And here we see the retirement age, redefining retirement. Again, we talk about all of this, been talking about it for a long time. They talk about the effect of the pandemic. We talked about the effect of the pandemic. Our reports came out first. It's not a contest, but here's our problem. Not our problem, our profession problem. We became essential for all the right reasons, and everyone needs to know. Everyone needs to know. And nobody's going to tell them except you. And here we go. 90% of the stimulation and nutrition to the brain is generated by the movement of the spine. We also know that when you look at posture assessed, how it affects cognitive decline, we know that anterior posture is a predecessor for cognitive decline, because of the way that it affects the cerebrospinal fluid flow, the nerve supply, the function of the brain, and the deterioration of the spine. So we know all this to be true. And we are also living in a time where the distrust and the status quo is crumbling. At a time that we have become essential, the distrust and the status quo is crumbling. Survey, 41% of Americans lost trust in their doctor during COVID. Millennials don't trust their doctors. The top challenges of 2022 in medical economics, there's the loss of trust in physicians. Where has the trust gone? 73% down. And we were named essential. We have got to tell this story, my colleagues. We have got to tell this story. We know patients know they're being gaslighted by their doctors. We have got to tell this story. So I'm going to leave you with a quote. I'll take some questions. I want you to come visit us at 100yearchiropractors.com if you like what we're talking about. We have amazing resources for you. Many of them are free. We're giving them away. The Becoming a Least Vulnerable Person, the Power of Lifetime Care. We have all kinds of ways that we can help you if you like this message. But here's the thing that is really important that I want to leave us with. Thomas Edison's quote was, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame and diet and in the cause and prevention of disease." Well, that was January 2nd, 1903. That's 100 from today. It's almost 120 years ago. Well, in 2010, I actually changed the quote. So I changed the quote by changing one word and adding a hyphen. That's all I changed. And the new quote is, the essential quote is, "The doctor of the present will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of dis-ease be present. It is time for us to become essential, to be the doctors of the present, to stop living in the future. People are searching for leadership. They are not searching for another commodity, which is another quick hit, quick fix for pain. You guys, GCA is doing a great job on an opioid campaign. Come on, we got to get people to see us in a brand new light as essential, reaching out to the public in a way that it truly does make a difference. So GCA, my friends, everybody watching, no matter what state you're with, the power is on. It is our time to lead. We are essential. We were named essential. We didn't need it, but it's time for all of you to be essential with action. I will be here for you. You can reach out to me anytime, Dr. Plasker at 100yearlifestyle.com. We'd love to answer any questions, be supportive of you, and GCA, love and appreciate you so much. Thanks for having me.